Hello, flower friends. Welcome to this week's live gardening show. It is your friend in flowers, Lisa Mason Ziegler. And friends, is this stuff beautiful? You know what this is? This is Ammi Green Mist. It's one of there's several different Ammis that we grow as cut flower farmers. And this is a beautiful one, but we will be talking more about that in the show. I want to welcome you here. If we've never met before, as I said, my name is Lisa Mason Ziegler, and I'm the owner of the Gardener's Workshop. And I have been a professional flower farmer for the last 25 years, and now I'm on a mission. And that mission is to help other people to be able to grow cut flowers, whether that is for profit or for pleasure. And I do that by sharing what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and what I'm doing it with. And so in these shows, I demonstrate different things varying on the seasons, but we always offer the same tools, seeds, and supplies, and my books, of course, available to you. And if you are watching us on a phone, you may not be able to see this, but right below the video, there's a ribbon of all the items that you'll hear me mention throughout the show. And you can just close the comments and then you'd be able to see those. So everything I mentioned, you can actually shop. Now, today's show has another, y'all, Christmas song theme, Jingle Bells, because I'm talking about my favorite bell flowers and ball flowers, flowers that have balls. And, both of these capture people. Customers absolutely love them. Gardeners love them. And we all love them for the same reason. They're unique and different, and we just absolutely love them. So that's what we're talking about today, are my favorite bells and balls. And then I did an experiment 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to be revealing the results of that. And so I can't wait for us to jump in. I'm just getting down to my little notes here. And, so we are talking about, the mainline subject that I talk about at this time of the year is, of course, all about cool flowers. And if you don't know what cool flowers are, Cool Flowers is actually the name of a book that I wrote that was published back in 2014, like 11 years ago, y'all. It's almost going to be 12 years, about a family of flowers that often get left behind because of their awkward planting times. And so let me just give you like the highlights of cool season hardy annuals. First off, who are these? We're talking about flowers like sweet peas, bells of Ireland, snapdragons, lisianthus, dill, bupleurum, larkspur, nigella. I grow like 50 different cool season hardy annuals. So that's who they are. And this group of flowers doesn't just survive cool to cold weather. That's their jam. They love becoming established during those types of conditions. And it is that awkward time that keeps most of us from planting them at the proper time. And so when we plant them into their preferred conditions, they just do so well. I will tell you that I know my own personal journey 30 years ago, it's like you would try to plant sweet peas. I'm in the South. I'm in southeastern Virginia. And of course, you would plant them when people plant most everything, when you're just kind of starting out. And that's like spring, right? Well, in the South, that just doesn't work, because before they can even sprout and grow up, and they will sprout and grow, but they fall victim to disease and pests before they can even get started because they're not established. We fall plant sweet peas, right? When we fall plant them, y'all, they grow like blooming weeds the next spring and early summer. It's pretty phenomenal. So when you match up and get them planted for your area and give them the conditions they want, cool season hardy annuals. We grow snapdragons out in the field, 36 inches tall. We grow, all of this stuff that you may have struggled with because we didn't know the proper planting time is amazing when you plant it at the right time. So for the cool, we call it the cool flower concept. And I did not make this up, y'all. Our grandmas did this. And so there's three primary planting windows. That is fall planting. Those that live in an area, you can plant those cool season hardy annuals that survive your winter's lowest temperature. And how do you know that? It's on all of our resources, y'all. To the best of our knowledge, we tell you the zone and temperature for each of the flowers. And if your winter doesn't go below 10 degrees or what have you for that flower, that means that you can fall plant it. And when you fall plant it, you get so many benefits. The plants typically bloom a little earlier. They grow taller stems. They grow more stems. The plant is just much more abundant, and it is more disease and pest resistant. And that's all because they're so well established, right? So that's the window number one, the fall. Then there's some folks, depending on where you live, that can actually plant during the winter. Those are people that have mild winters where the ground doesn't freeze. And so there's a large portion of the United States, the lower third, that frequently can actually do winter planting. But guess what? The next planting window that's coming up, all of us can plant in. You don't have to figure that out. We know that we all can plant what we call very early spring. Very early spring is 6 to 8 weeks before your last expected spring frost. Example, my last expected frost is mid-April. So count back 6 to 8 weeks. Let's go 8. 8 weeks back is like middle of February, Valentine's Day. That's kind of my trigger, right? And so that is still winter for me. You know, it is not uncommon for us to have snow then. But I know that if I have to have my transplants ready for that very early spring planting window and get those boogers in the ground. So let me just tell you about some resources that you can actually learn a lot more. Y'all, I feel I'm on the verge of having a sneeze here. So this is the book that I was mentioning earlier, Cool Flowers, which this is like the first step. If you're just learning about cool season hardy annuals and learning about the concept, I mean, it's a lot to wrap your head around. This is why, I mean, they're just awkward. It's awkward and different. It's not the same for everybody everywhere like it is for warm season tender annuals. And that's kind of why they have fallen off favor and the radar, you know. But this little book, which is an easy read, y'all, it's only like 150 pages, to just take the first step and try to figure it out. Would love to sign one for you. And we also include a video book study, which is a bonus when you buy the book from us. So that's the book, Cool Flowers. That's where it all starts. If you have not had any prior knowledge, if this is all like news to you, right? That's kind of like the first step. Now, you know, when do you figure out, or how do you figure out when to actually plant the cool flowers? And we have created another resource that is actually on the verge of being released. We've been pre-selling it for the last 2 months, and that is the Big Calendar Journal. And let me just show you and explain this a little bit. First off, this is a hard copy proof. They don't come gem clipped. It's actually spiral bound at the top. But this big calendar, 20 inches by 30 inches, is actually the calendar. A calendar like similar to this is what I've used to run my flower farm for the last 15 years. Meaning I sit down in January and plan my whole planting season, and then from that planting season, that leads me to be able to easily figure out when my seed starting time is. So we have produced this year, y'all, and it's still in pre-order. And this is just the cover. This is the inside first page. Y'all, this includes 9 different planting windows. That's what these are right here, where you plug your first and last frost dates into, and then apply your lowest winter temperature. And it gives you the information to know when you're going to actually can plant this stuff. And then we also give you the instructions to actually figure out your seed starting calendar. So that is the first page. And I'll just flip this over. It's kind of awkward not having it bound. This is there's a month up here. Each day is this big. You know what that means? That means that you can actually write in here and write the information that you need to actually see and know what to do in the season. Because let me tell you what helped me the most about this calendar. So first off, if you're a flower farmer and you've ever farmed through hot, long summers, in the middle of July when it's 100 degrees and it's all you can do to cut flowers and sell flowers and plant flowers, you're not even thinking about what seeds am I supposed to be starting now. For instance, that's the month for me when I'm starting our cut flower kale for fall harvest. That's when I'm starting my biennials that need to be gotten in the ground before the classic cool flower fall planting. We would never, ever have those things done on time if it wasn't on this calendar. And this calendar hangs on our door, just where it's visible, where we're always coming and going. The calendar, on the last page of this calendar, I also give a whole page of tips and suggestions on how I wrote on this calendar to try to create it. That's why it's called a journal. This calendar becomes the most powerful resource for planning for the next season and the next season as you move forward. I have like 15 or 14 of these upstairs for the last 14 years. And when I sit down in January and take all those calendars out and lay them out on a table, not only is it incredible to see what I've done and where I've come from, but the notes that I write just are what led me to become the successful 3-season succession planter out in my fields. The simplification of doing this, it is so clear cut and simple. So this is still in pre-order, and the pre-order, why that's so important is all pre-order purchasers get invited to a live workshop mid-January where we're going to go through those 9 planting windows. I'm going to talk you through finding your planting windows and how you actually apply them. There's also a QR code on that calendar that's actually going to give you the link to get to my seed starting worksheet, which lists 66 different flowers. When you mark your planting windows on that calendar and sit down with this paper that tells you how many weeks ahead of when you're supposed to plant you should start the seed, you just sit down and count, y'all. That's the seed. It's so simple, most people miss it. And because I am a dyslexic, I simplify everything, and make it very cut and dry. And that's what led me to where I am today. So if you want to be included on that free workshop, then you have to pre-order. And I'm telling you, pre-orders will be ending here soon because we are anticipating their arrival. So check that out and get yourself a calendar. Now, the other, which is a great companion to go with the calendar, is my book, The Cut Flower Handbook. This book features 66 different flowers, 25 warm, 41 cool. Comes with a PDF download of the 6 flowers we could not fit inside the book. This tells you everything, y'all. Varieties, stage to harvest, where to make the cut, how to set your garden up, this is the book that when people, because this is a question I get all the time, I garden and I would love to grow a cut flower garden, but I have no idea what to do. Literally, y'all, I wanted the book to be able to say, here's the book that has everything you need. And it's a powerful resource tool. And it includes it all in here. And the photography is absolutely beautiful. And I'm proud to say that my sister did about a third of the imaging in here. And so just look at this table of contents. I mean, it's just so inspiring. And it has my simplistic, easy to follow instructions for each and every flower. I mean, it shows you what the seedling looks like, right? And then also there's those 6 flowers that we couldn't fit. That's a PDF download. You just download it and print it out. And it comes with the book. And let me tell you something that we just had come out probably about 2 weeks ago. We have actually created an additional edition of the book. We've taken, it's the very same book, but we had the spines cut off and had them spiral bound, y'all. Which, if you do any planning or researching, having a book that lays flat like this is pretty dadgum amazing to use. It just makes the job so much easier. And this makes it so when you're sitting there with whatever books you're using spread out and you're marking your calendar or doing a spreadsheet or whatever you do, this just makes it super simple. This one does cost more. We had to pay to have all this done, but they're currently 20% off. So that is like, if they're on sale for like $35, I think. So if you are a person that uses your books as resources, this is a great option. This is not something we make available all the time. And so check that out if you want to try that. So let's take a look at some of my favorite bell flowers and ball flowers. And so I would be willing to say, I wish I could, that y'all could chime in and talk to me, but what I believe in my experience as a teacher and as a farmer and even a gardener, the most favorite flower in the world. And it's not what y'all think. And it is, my friends, Bells of Ireland. I believe that this is the most coveted flower for people to grow out there. And that's just based on when we do our big open farms here once a year, and we have a big old stand of Bells of Ireland. It doesn't matter what else is blooming on this farm. This is where the people gather. So Bells of Ireland are just one of my favorites. Why are they everybody's favorite? I think it's because they're so different. First off, why I love them as a flower farmer, they're green. They go with everything, right? They're just so useful. They're unique. They have a very unique fragrance, which I love. Not everybody does. But Bells of Ireland is just such a spectacular flower to grow. And it's a cool flower, y'all. We actually direct sow these in the fall. I'm in zone 8. I believe they're winter hardy to zone 7. But they are just amazing. And we get incredible stem length out in the garden. And here is another cool flower that I didn't realize was a cool flower. I tried to grow it and planting it, of course, at the wrong time. I was treating it like a warm season annual until about, 6 or 7 years ago. Somebody made mention, and I'm like, that's a cool season hardy annual. And y'all, that is Billy Balls. Did y'all know that? Craspedia. And we fall and very early spring plant it so we can spread out the harvest. That's another, there's just and all of this information is on the calendar, y'all, to guide you to figure out when you plant. And so planting, if you can fall plant, you can certainly usually very early spring plant again to spread out your harvest with most flowers. Not all. Feverfew is the flower that I would love to have all summer. But when you plant fall and very early spring, they basically bloom at the same time. But you learn these things. We do extend and plant more successions. But Billy Balls, which is a great fresh, it's great dried. Again, it's a cool flower. We get 30 to 36 inches when we fall plant, and we get 24 to 30 when we very early spring plant. When I was trying to plant it in spring, like warm season annuals, not knowing, I'd be lucky to get like a 10 or 12 inch stem. And y'all, it's all about these flowers typically bloom early in the season, and they just don't have time to grow up before they start blooming, right? So Billy Balls is a great one. And here's a flower that I think is so underused. And it is an incredible flower. And what I hear from people is, oh my gosh, I have trouble hydrating it. It just doesn't last very long. And all of that is 100% improper harvesting, stage to harvest, and also then how they strip or not strip it. Right. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about dill. Dill, this is dill bouquet. That's the variety that we grow. I fall plant this. Some winters we lose it. I have to provide it protection, which we just came through. So typically for zone 8 where I am, our average lowest winter temperature is 10 degrees. And we just very rarely go below 10 degrees, right? But we often dip into the teens. And when that happens, if you don't protect dill, it's the first one to go. It's like earlier this week. And I just was very deliberate. And we put all of our row covers up. When it goes down below 30 degrees at night is when I start covering stuff. It's not that my stuff will be killed, but a lot of times the foliage gets damaged, and I'm just trying to prevent that. I mean, why wouldn't I prevent that, right? Well, 16 degrees, I knew this is one of the ones that would be goner. And so I double covered. I use lightweight row cover, Ag 19, and they came through like champs. I posted it on a social. You'll see it in the shorts here and on YouTube. Dill is an amazing cut flower. This stuff is 5 and 6 feet tall when I fall plant it. I strip all foliage off. It is edible. You can eat it if you want to, but they make fantastic cut flowers. And in the cut flower handbook, we show you all the stage to harvest, and I kind of give my insider tips on all of them. I love dill because I cut it when it's kind of early, and then I let it go through its shedding stage and let it be on the verge of developing seed. That's when it's the best. It lasts the longest. We had just always high demand for dill. So that is another great one. And then those seedlings that I was showing y'all when the show was opening, that was Ammi Green Mist. The Green Mist is very different than the Ammi Magus. It's a little hunkier. It's got more tissue on the bloom on the bottom side. They just look really different. And I love cutting it when it's like this. But all of these are excellent candidates for very early spring, and totally love the Green Mist. And then the Green Mist and the Ammi Magus are pretty much known as false Queen Anne's lace. They are not in the same family with Queen Anne's lace. They're Ammis, right? And this is the Queen of Africa that looks like, a lot of people call it lacy flower. We sold tons of this. I mean, we love it in bouquets. Our florists love it. Supermarkets love it. But what I find, I get lots of questions when I'm doing live shows with interactions that people can't get them hydrated. And it's because they cut them at the wrong time of day. They leave way too much foliage and side shoots on them. And then the stage to harvest. This is old, y'all. This is not old. This is on its way down. It's going to be shedding in just a few days. You would never sell flowers that look like this. You cut them before this. And again, the book, the Cut Flower Handbook, really guides you on all of that. But this is a fantastic flower. I fall and very early spring plant it because it's winter hardy in my zone. Totally love Ammi Magus. So that's all the cool flowers. Now I want to look at 2 warm seasons, and these are balls. And I tell you, people love ball stuff, things that have pods that are balls. And who's at the top of that list? None other than hairy balls. This is Gumpacarpus physocarpus. How gorgeous is that, y'all? Anything green, if you're a grower, is like, it goes with everything. That means you have options and lots of them. So these are seed pods that develop after a little insignificant, you can't really see it, but there's a little insignificant flower up there. That's not what we're growing it for. It's what comes after that, and that is the balls. And carpus. And this is actually a monarch hosting plant. But of course, this is what we grown for. And I actually have some dried ones here to show you. So I have learned I've grown hairy balls for a lot of years, and I used to let them get bigger. Well, when they get bigger, they become less useful. First off, people find them a little offensive, which, there's some people that love that, but there's fewer of them than people that don't think that's really cool. But when they're small, like this, that's like the size of what, a ping pong ball or something. They're far more useful. They tend to not bust open and spill seeds even after they've been cut. These are dried. But this is when they're the most useful, using them in bouquets. And I'm going to show you the smallest hairy balls I have ever seen. Look at that. Are they cute? These are just totally dry, right? So hairy balls does this at the end of summer. You plant them when you plant your first tomatoes. All summer they grow. They get very large. They'll start doing the blooms. They are a huge pollinator late summer plant. And then this starts happening for me in September and October. If you have an early frost date, you may not be able to grow these. You just have to experiment. And I just totally love these. Our supermarkets anticipated these all the time. They just couldn't wait till they started coming. And then my last ball seed pod flower favorite, another warm season tender annual, and that is Love in a Puff. This is a vine, and it does reseed. I will give you that. Some people hate it because of that, but we don't mind. We just take care of those weed seedlings that we don't want, just like we do any other weed, right? We just prevent it or remove it immediately. These little green balls are really fun, and I'll tell you, the vines will hydrate. Cut them in the morning, strip the bottom half, and keep the balls at the top. Our florists used to use them on chandeliers and candelabras and put them in little flower tubes. They are just absolutely fantastic. We love in a Puff. And see, there's their little insignificant flower, which again is another pollinator bee haven when you actually grow those. So I want to show you how I actually start my seeds. And because here's the thing about the window of very early spring, and this would be true for winter planting of cool flowers also, is those seeds that really do best direct sown out in the garden, Bells of Ireland, dill, we direct Ammi, any of those guys, you really can't do that in winter and very early spring. You can do it. Then they don't sprout until it's like almost spring, and you've lost the whole point of planting them during the concept to be established and ready to perform when the spring comes, right? So we typically only plant transplants. And this is a tray of 40 little small blocks. These are the little small. Let's see if I can get one of these apart. I didn't do this before because now my hand's going to be dirty. Y'all, I just love soil blocks. This is why so all these seedlings that you're seeing me on soil blocks are leftovers. They're the ones that were left over from our planting. So these are probably 7-8 weeks old, far older. This is Cress Green Dragon. Favorite. Love this guy. It's a cool flower. But look at the roots on this booger. Can you see them? Now, do you think that if this little plant had been in a pot for 7-8 weeks, they'd be hanging down like this? No, they'd be round, round, and round. This is what sets soil blocking apart. And that's what makes them look different. So let me show you how I actually make these. Besides the fact that this is 40 plants on this little small tray, it's incredibly space savvy. It's like made for the home gardener and the small grower. Because, I have no greenhouse, right? So I do everything inside, actually like in what you would compare it to like a spare bedroom. Let me get my tray here. And so it's just a great in a building, whether it's your home or a garage or whatever you have. All right, let me fix this so you can see. I put my computer a little taller this time. Well, that works pretty good. All right, so soil blocking. This is the soil blocker, and this is a tub. We use a tub because you add water to this blocking mix, and you need it to be self-contained. So it's pretty moist, and we give you the ratio, which is 3 parts blocking mix to 1 part water. You hold the blocker on the stationary bar, and push it down in. And this is a potato masher, y'all. That's my tool of choice to strike off the bottom. And I also use it to incorporate the water into the soil. All right, so there's my tray. And what else is really unique about this, what I kind of have tweaked soil blocking to, is we use flat bottom trays with no drainage holes. That means you can do it anywhere inside a building, a home, without worrying about water. All right, and so let's just put it down, squeeze the plunger, and friends, look at that. We just made 20 of those little containers. And this is what that crest that you just saw is actually growing in. So I wanted to surface sow a couple of seeds to show you how that works, because people really struggle with this. So let's give this a whirl here. And so Sweet William, which is another cool flower, which is a great candidate for fall, very early spring planting. They're actually winter hardy too, zone 5. Friends, we tell you right on the instructions, everything you need to know. Do not cover seeds with soil. Winter hardy to zone 5. It tells you spacing, how long it's going to take to germinate. And this is one of my favorite Sweet Williams. This is Sweet is the name of the series. Pink, it's called Deep Pink Maxine. And you know what the exact color it is? Looks just like Pepto-Bismol, which might not be a good thought, but it's a great color in flowers. All right, so these are actually clay-coated seeds. See how much, can y'all see that? It just jumped right on the end of my toothpick, because there's no static electricity in this little seed pan. And when I touched my toothpick, which I moistened with saliva, literally the seed just hops on, and I am just firmly seeding it on the soil so that the seed has good contact with the moist soil, right? And that's what carries it on, allowing it to get moisture. And look how quick and easy this goes. When you have no static electricity in your little aluminum seed pan with a little saliva, and that is how you surface. So you don't sprinkle. The seed needs to make good contact with the soil. All right, let me see where I am here. So what do we have here? All right. So let me show you how you can get started with soil blocking. Soil block maker kit is the #1 item we have sold since 2005. And it's because there's so many people out there, just like me, no greenhouses. I mean, y'all, when we were in high production, we were making over 100,000 soil blocks a year and moving them through what I call the seed starting freight train, through a 10 by 10 room and a carport with a partial carport and open porch. And we did it because it's so dadgum space savvy, y'all. I mean, it just makes it possible, right? So the Soil Block Maker Kit, which is $89.87. That's 19% off buying all this stuff separately. So it comes with the small blocker. We do import these from England. This is the original Ladbroke brand, and this makes 20 of the 3/4 inch blocks. The kit also comes with my Seed Starting Made Easy online course. Takes you from starting them, growing them up indoors, bumping them outside to harden off, and getting them into the garden. Plus, there's a session on sowing seeds in the garden. But you own this for life, unlimited access to it. It also comes with your choice of either 3 warm season seeds or 3 cool season seeds. All 3 of these are excellent candidates to start for very early spring planting. Snapdragons, Feverfew, and Indian Summer Rudbeckia, which is the biggest. Have you ever grown Rudbeckia that's like 4 to 6 inches across? It is amazing. So that you make that choice at checkout. It also comes up with a bag of our ready-made mix. This is a 6-quart bag. This bag will make 500 to 600 of those little 3/4 inch blocks, y'all. Talk about efficient and space savvy. That's why I always go small. I use the small blocker about 98% of the time. The only time I don't use the small blocker is if the seed just simply is too big for the block. Think sweet peas, sunflowers, zucchini, squash, those kinds of things. When you need the big blocker, you need it. But I primarily use the small blocker almost exclusively. So you get this bag. Then you also get a set of 5 of the reusable foam trays that hold 3 sets of 20, a seed pan, and we also have our little toothpick dispenser with toothpicks and the plant markers. You get all of this for $89.87, y'all. I mean, it's like the gateway to heaven, in my opinion, for seed starting. Once you starting soil blocking, and there's a learning curve in the beginning, but once you get it, it just starts amazing little transplants like the one you just saw. They do not suffer transplant shock because you don't have to rip their roots, untangle them. And it just is pretty dadgum amazing. So you'll find that down below the video in the feed there. And then the other thing that we recommend in all seed, when no matter what blocking mix you're using, we recommend it for our ready-made mix. If you're making your own blocking mix at home, which the recipe is always available on our website, we recommend sifting all of it, y'all. When you're starting little seeds, they don't need chunks. You know, we don't use sterile soil. All of our soil is compost-based, and the recipes are compost-based. And for biology to live in soil, typically that comes in chunks. That's why there's chunks in the good soils. And you don't want to throw those chunks away. We sift. This fits perfectly on top of a 5-gallon bucket. We sift. We put those chunks either out in our garden or in our containers and use the finer portion in for seed starting, right? So this is our sifter that we absolutely love. And then a frequent question that I get asked is, how do I water? And we do have videos on our website, also under resources on our website, thegardenersworkshop.com. Love using this long spout, gentle pour watering can. This booger holds 4 cups of water. It's stainless steel. It goes in so you can reach to where you want to actually plant the water. We also love this for actually watering our flower arrangements too, without messing with the flowers. So you'll find this over on our website. And, you know, if you need just more blocking mix, you can buy the bag separately. And there's also a 20-quart bag. But again, you'll find the resource on our website with the recipe. However, I recommend to people, when you're learning how to soil block, there's a little bit of a learning curve. Use the ready-made mix because you know that's the proper consistency, right? And then mix your own. And that can be just a savings from shipping stuff to you. We do sell the nutrient that goes in it if you need that, but you use your compost and peat moss or either cocoa coir to create your mix at home. So you'll find those over there. And those reusable foam trays I showed you come in all sizes. This little guy only holds 20, which is perfect when you're only starting a small number of something. And then this holds 2 sets of 20. So this is a 40, or I didn't show y'all this. This is one of those seeds that I start in the large blocker because it's a big seed. This is Cerinthy, which is another cool flower. Oh my gosh, y'all, look at these roots. This is why I soil block, y'all. Look at those gorgeous roots. Holy cow. So Cerinthy is a pretty big seed. So these are like, I'm going to guess, because this is not the right tray for them. I stole these off of a much bigger tray. I'm going to guess that I think these are like 2 to 3 weeks old. And they actually could be planted outside right now. And so on this size tray, 8 of these, if the blocker makes 4 at a time, you can put 2 sets of 4 on here. And then the other size tray, which is the size that comes in the kit, is the one that holds 3 sets of 20. So all of these are available, and this just helps you to make the most use out of your real estate on seedling heat mat and grow lights, right? You don't want to put one set of 20 on here and then not have anything over here, right? And we know not to mix different varieties and even different colors sometimes on the same tray because they germinate and grow at different rates, y'all, believe it or not. All right, so let me see where we are. I've already told you about all of that. Now I want to show you our experiment that we did, and then we'll be wrapping this up. Don't you just love these? Cerinthe is one of the earliest bloomers on my farm, but we use it as an amazing foliage before it even blooms. It's got a purple bloom, a deep Victorian color. It's beautiful. You have to maybe I'll show you. It's in the book. The picture in the book, I can remember the morning that we were, wait a minute, these are in botanical name order. Let me see where I am here. I'm almost there. I'm in the D's. There it is. Cerinthe is so stinking beautiful. Can y'all see that? I can see through the bound. They are so beautiful. The foliage has spots on it, and that's how it is. It doesn't have a disease, and it's just the most amazing foliage. So what I want to show you now is our experiment. So some of those cool flowers I was just showing you, the dill, for instance, is a great example. Dill really thrives being direct sown out in the garden. And it's really about temperatures, right? They just need it really cool to really sprout strongly. And not many of us have that option in our home. So I tried a hack this year and it really worked. So I sowed dill in some of our green cells. So this is some of our green cells. They're awesome. They're made in the USA. These are forever cells, right? So this is what I did it in. And I sowed dill seed just like they were out in the garden. And then in my grow room, I put them down on the floor, which is concrete, which even though the air temperature is about 55 or 60 degrees this time of the year in there, because there's nothing growing in there now, that concrete's pretty cold. And guess what, y'all? I followed directions on the seed packet, covered the seed, and put them on the floor. And lo and behold, look at all of this dill. The same little trick worked to get Ammi majus because, we can't direct sow these out in the garden in mid-February where I am because it's still often below freezing outside. And they're not going to sprout. But look, I got these boogers to sprout too. So that is a little trick. If you have a place like a garage, it can't be like 20 degrees out there. It's got to be kind of in that 50 to 60 air temperature, but on a cold concrete floor. That's the ticket that we actually found. And so I was prepared with my dill that it was all going to get killed this last deep. We aren't typically going into the teens until like late January and February. And here we are in December and we've already been down to 16 easily. So our plastic trays are really fun for this. One of the things I love about the plastic trays is each cell is pretty big. This holds 1 cup of soil. And so I water it really well before I sow the seeds. And I find you don't even have to water them again. When they're on that cold floor with cool air temps, they don't dry out. And that's exactly what those seeds need. So give that a try. And so, friends, I hope this has inspired you to maybe consider planting some cool season hardy annuals for very early spring. So for me, January 2nd, first day back to work in the new year, that's the first job I do. I start eucalyptus, which is a warm season, slow grower. Start that first. And then I start those cool flowers that I'm going to be very early spring planting and need to have them ready by mid-February for my frost date. And based on 8 weeks back from my first frost date. And for me, I'm starting straw flowers and stock and sweet William typically. And then some other odds and ends like I've shown you here that we're always doing experiments, right? And testing and trials. So friends, grab a book. And now is the time to just really spend a little time learning. I mean, this is the best time to actually grab a book and read it. And I highly recommend the Cut Flower Handbook is very readable. And just to sit down and do it. The first two sections, it's like how a cut flower garden works and then how to set it up to be. And it's exactly the way that I do it. And I tell you in there that my recommendation is the people that we see that make the long haul transition to still be growing cut flowers in 5 years is the people that start small, the people that go gangbusters. You don't even hear from them again after 2 years. They get so overcome. Going slow and steady and learning how to grow a cutting garden. And if you're going to farm, which is totally different than gardening, how you manage to do all the things you have to do. And so grab a book, gather the facts before you start doing work, and by all means before you spend any money, right? And see what it is that you're going to do. So my friends, I wish you Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Holidays. And I will not be seeing you next Thursday because it is Christmas. So friends, I wish you the very best and have a warm, welcoming time with your friends and family. And grab a good book and learn something. Spend some time reading and learn something that'll help you in the coming season. And the season is sooner than you think. All right, my friends. Ciao.